Hello everybody, Kieran here with Explorminate, and welcome to a little, not really preview video. This game's been out since last Thursday, so getting close to a week now. This is Endless Legend Inferno, the stealth expansion that I don't think anybody expected, but I was pretty excited to see, this great game continue to get a lot of coverage. So, if you're not aware, most of us here at Explorminate pretty much love this game. It's not universal, doesn't have to be, but um, there's quite a few of us on staff that are like, yep, this is the poster child for 4X in a lot of ways these days, I feel like. So it's nice to see it keep getting supported, like I said, because honestly, Endless Space 2 is still working on it. I don't think it's really hit that breakout moment for it yet. But it's a solid game. But Endless Legend just does so much right. So it's cool to get the new race, the Kapaku. Now, as always, you get a new race, you get some new features. It's going to be the Dust Storm here, which hopefully, well, we're not going to queue up stuff. You don't want to see that. Hopefully we can see here. It's actually called the Dust Eclipse. So it's kind of like something that happens in summertime. And if we don't get to one by the end of this video, oofda. We are going to, I'm going to auto this too. Well, actually, no, let's show off combat. And because I really shouldn't do that bad against these guys, I don't think. We might not win, but shouldn't be that bad. All right, and this way we get to show off some of their units. So I have with us, we have the Stone Sentinels, the Golem Riders, and the Geomancer. So basically tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 sort of, if you want to think of it that way. The Stone Sentinels have a pretty cool ability that allows you to not have any upkeep. Because if you can see these guys, this is kind of a terrible angle. You can see they've got the fire coming to their backs, and there's just basically a furnace there. I don't know if these guys are actually like technically alive. I think it's just kind of like the Geomancers and the guys on the Golems here. Pretty cool looking units though. So let's drop you here, drop you here. Oh, they're gonna be stuck up there though, aren't they? Interesting. Yeah, we'll bring you around. Okay, so we're gonna do a little round of combat here. We'll try to make this quick. Go ahead and boost, 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 go. Long way around. And so they have a bonus here essentially that depending on where you're standing gives you different advantages. This is your typical cavalry, really good charge, circular attacks, nice. And going to get. Oh, there we go. So yeah, this is what I mean by like we shouldn't do that bad because they're so slow that we're gonna just do work on them. Now they do have beams, so if we line up, it's gonna be bad. But oh, we can move there good. So as you can see, the Geomancer here, we have extra initiative. I think because we moved. We can actually look at him next turn. One gives defense, attack. Ooh, yeah, see that beam attack. Sucks to get hit by. So we need to definitely do a better job managing that. So we can do, slow down, geomancy, there we go. So 20% attack on volcanic terrain, which we're not there, and we're going to see that in a second. Initiative if in the forest, and defense when on other terrains. So we're just going to try to do some damage here on this guy. I'm going to try to kill 2 of them off if we can. Okay, that circular attack was really good too. Oh no, our golem died. But it's pretty cool, like, they're created. They're not a super technologically advanced race, and we're going to get into the lore because I think it's some of the most, what's the word? I'm sorry. Not pressing, attractive. I'm not thinking of the word. Some of the most interesting that I've seen so far, and we'll get into the story in a second. I just wanted to show off combat so you can see the units because in true Endless Legend fashion, they are quite cool. They really do a good job. And this whole no upkeep on these guys, is kind of insane. But again, it goes along with their lore. They're building them. They've got their forges and things. And this is the only combat we're going to do, promise here, because for some of you, I know this game is not about combat, but you got to show off the models. Okay. Oh, they boosted somebody? That's great. That's totally what I wanted to do. Oh, another one died. I love the animation where they're like, when they die, they fall apart, because they're just creations. Please do some damage here. Finish off this fool. There we go. So see that? That is why you never auto-combat this game. Because we pretty soundly won. I mean, we're hurt, but we could probably take another fight. Do decent. Oh, yep, everyone finish your turn. There you go. Yay! Okay, so that is our combat. So the lore, let's talk about that for a second. Where did these guys come from? They are not from this planet. They are actually transplants of the Endless. And when I say transplants, I quite literally mean like these guys came from a lava world and they got put in a spaceship and they got shipped off. And from what I gather from the missions, and I haven't played through all of them, and I didn't really want to spoil it even if I had, their planet was getting terraformed and they were doing everything they could to stop it, stop the giant machines essentially, it would seem like. And the Endless come and scoop them up, bring them in their ship. They're kind of suspended in time and space. You know, I don't know if it's like a stasis or something. It's, you know, it's how would a primitive species describe that, right? And they talk about something like 125 generations, I think, if I remember and I understood the quest specifically. And they're dropped off here, and they're just like, this place is terrible. Like, we had a lava world we're on before, and that was beautiful, and that's what they're ultimately trying to do here. But this is just hideous to them. Oh no, what did I turn on here? Okay, well, we've got those up. That's going to be annoying. That's okay. How do we turn that off here? There we go. So that's pretty interesting. Again, that they're from a different world because, I mean, you know, you play Stellaris, you play Endless Space too. Those are galactic civilizations. If you play Galciv too, right? These guys aren't though. That would just be so unsettling if you can think about even like us. If we're just like thrown on a ship, brought somewhere like generations after, like that is going to be huge wake up call wherever you end up landing. So that's kind of their lore. And when I said they're trying to make everything else lava, like I mean it. So let's go ahead and spend some glass steel here to make a Volcaformer. It's one thing we need. Is this going to go up by 2 every time? Yeah, cost goes up by 2 every time you use it. It's different for each resource, so you can kind of stagger it here, like I should probably be using my titanium, for example. But now that I have a Volcaformer, I'm going to show you how that works. And one really great UI thing they have here, it does show you the original output, so 10 science, 12 dust. It's going to turn into 14 food, 6 output, a little less science, but just the same amount of dust. So it lets you know, kind of gives you that feedback there, because that would be a nightmare otherwise. That's one of those things that I saw, and I was like, I didn't even think of that. And then it was genius. So thank you, Amplitude, for doing that. It's going to take a few turns here. I do keep my units on it. I haven't, like, I don't know if you'd lose it. I think you probably can. Okay, thanks for the pop-ups. I think you probably could lose it if you're not careful. And that's why I want to be careful. This is my starting city, so the whole area was vulcanized. But let's come in here. So I dropped a Volcaformer here. And so you still got the specimens living in things, but the wild, the trees are now scorched and they're burned. So it quite literally changes the landscape of the game, which is pretty cool to have like this widespread colonization. I don't have any rivers, and I don't actually see any here. But if you turn a river into lava, it's going to be a lava river, which from my short play gameplay does affect things like aqua. What is it? Aqua. Where is it? Where's the tech? Oh, it's back here. I thought that was the first stage. Aquapulvistix. Doesn't seem to work on rivers if they're lava, at least with the first game I played through, just to kind of get a handle on these guys. And then, in terms of some of their unique techs and stuff, you acquire some of those from missions and such. So you can start with the Geomancer, obviously, and then the Golem Rider. You get this, Shaman's Insight, so the Sentinels have no military upkeep, which is really cool, and I think could be really fun for combat, or at least holding your own, depending on how you're wanting to play. You're not losing resources there. Golem Camps are an interesting um, expansion you can build that adds a population just for the cost of some light resources, really, if you're in the mid game. So that's one way you could potentially rush a city, get it going. We have siege engineering. So you get an industrial stockpile generated by siege damage. So again, haven't had a lot of time to play with this. I wanted to get this video out there. I missed the weekend, but heck, if you're on the, do I buy this game or not? Again, that's why I try to do these videos. When you do that damage, it adds to your stockpile, which is interesting. I think that's kind of cool. And then we have a unique building here that adds a lot of fortification. Can only be built once, adds 100 experience and recruiting units. So it's like your super barracks, essentially. Just got that, which is funny because I'm still a ways from getting... Oh, I guess I'm not that far from the technology. We might as well pop it in there. Not that we're going to go that far. But that kind of gives you a little idea how these guys play. They play the same as everybody else in terms of like city management. There's nothing largely different. They are going to be a little bit of a slower race to expand with because you do have to drop the Volcaniformer. 5 turns. It's the perfect size, so you put it somewhere. Then you put city on top of that, and then you're gonna like expand out different ways. And for a typical race, you have a lot of freedom when you're designing your cities, right? So you've got the circular as you like diamonded out if you want the bonus for the happiness. You can build in lines, those are the 2 common methods I take. There's a few others you can look up online that I don't really mess with too much. I just try to look at the map in this way, right? Because you want to expand your city or boroughs. But with these guys, you're limited with the volcaniformers because right here, this gives you 3 food, but I'm born of ash, so I don't like green. I like fires and volcanoes, so actually it provides no food. And so I strategically popped down. Well, I unstrategically had to use 4 here, I believe. But I'm going for a line right here. You've got this mountain range. I'm thinking of building a town here. I'm probably not going to finish in this game, but wanted to get it to this point to show ya. So, I do a volcaniformer, and I guess this is a terrible spot for it, right between a large tower and a mountain. But that forces you to really plan out your expansions, and you kind of have to prepare for them because otherwise you're gonna have a hard time with missing out on production. So these are their watchtowers, which that doesn't matter. Are pretty cool looking. It kind of reminds me of like I don't know, like gnomes out of like World of Warcraft mixed with like Dr. Seuss or something. It's a neat aesthetic, and then in their towns. You've got this, the middle palace, and they're expanding out. Ignore the temple. They've got all the pipes and stuff running about. So it's neat. Really helps you feel like you are playing that individual race. I'm hoping we're gonna get an eclipse here in a second. If not, we'll just have a quick little fade through. But we'll watch this. So there you go. You see, it just turns into ash drifts now. So we've got 1 food, 1 production, 2 dust, as opposed to a science and 2 dust. So you get some food, you get some production, you lose a little bit of science, which I haven't actually noticed that. That's interesting. But they have a lot of ways they seem to make up science. I don't feel like I'm limited with that. The other thing I wanted to look at here, well, actually 2 things. We're just going to go through these traits again. So, yep, armies only have health regen on volcanic terrains. Kind of important to remember. and main quest. Dust eclipses, again, we'll see those in a second, but your shamans can show the locations of confluxes, and we'll see what that is. Basically, the little buffs you pick up. Um, let's see. So maybe we don't have one coming up because we can predict dust eclipses, volcanic formation, siege engineering. Yeah, so that's it. Those are kind of what set them apart. Let's look at our hero though, because they have some interesting abilities, or skill tree, I guess. So you've got your typical class, common. Let's look at the faction though. So you start off level 1, giving science per volcanic terrain, which really helps because again, you're kind of not having a lot of that, as I mentioned. And then on level 2, it adds production and dust. You can add approval. You can add science overall to the city. This is kind of a really cool one. Reclamation, it's, less cost to retrofit units, and then you can actually, you carry a portable forge at level 2, so you can refit your army on the go, even in neutral, well, even in enemy and neutral territory, excuse me. So that could be useful. Sometimes you have to do the um, retrofitting on the go, or you might research a new technology. Thankfully this isn't quite as retrofit heavy as some of the 4X games out there. At least I don't think Endless Legend is. But um, it does provide you that way to keep that steam engine rolling, right? Chugging along as you get those higher end weapons. Geomantic wills, you get some extra resources, which is good. Again, I think you can make a really good going this way and then phasing up here um, would be a really good city build, and that's like pretty straightforward. I mean, as straight as these get. Or if you want to go to the very end, Blood Boiler, you get 50% attack on units during Dust Eclipse, and then level 2 is another 50%. So, during Dust Eclipse, you go crazy on them. And I don't think we're going to see a Dust Eclipse here, because I would be predicting it, wouldn't I? Yeah, I don't see anything on the UI here telling me otherwise. So that is the Kapuka. I hope I'm saying that right here. In a nutshell, let's look at dust eclipses because that's kind of the last major part of this update. All right, everyone, and then the moment you've been waiting for, the dust eclipse. So this is actually pretty nice. Okay, interesting. So you can't see it on the map here. You can kind of like see here. I thought it was moving actually per turns, but it's not. It's got this neat aurora borealis effect if you zoom out, and even if you're like kind of here a little high up, you can see it. Eclipse is in the name, so land does get darker, changes the look of the map. And then there's a few other goodies that pop up here we're gonna have to look at. First off, you might notice this is an eclipse temple. So there's new possibilities at this ancient temple. Let's jump back to it, shall we? Take a look. Oh, we found nothing. Oh, that's super ironic. You can find things though, and you quite frequently do find things when you go to the temples. Let you basically relive the glory hut, the glory hut. My goodness, the goody hut glory days, is what I was trying to say there. Wow, hit the punchline a little too soon there, which I don't think is a bad idea. Like it's nice to have a reason to go back to them. Let's check this out here and actually take a second to explore it. Nothing again. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, there was one I got a little bit ago. They had like 85 dust, right? So a significant amount of dust. A little bit more than a turn's worth right now, and about 70 turns. So that's something. They really do give things. That was just two really bad RNG rolls. I feel like I get quite a bit from them actually. But you'll find about the same stuff. I haven't found anything really more or less than when you originally go over them. You do have these confluxes though. And so this is an empowering conflux. I don't know if there's such a thing as an unempowering. I don't believe so. I think these are all buffs. So essentially what these are going to do, you get 50% attack and ignores movement penalties due to terrains. That's what this is offering at least. And so you just jump on that. Our attacks can go from 32. Oh, well, it does double it. It's just, I guess we have to be in battle because it's a map boost there on this army. So kind of cool. Gives that to chase. You can track the dust storm down here. Sorry, the dust eclipse. And like look at that. Oh yeah, the other thing here too, you do have like these dust storms or dust blizzards, I guess. Interesting. They call it a blizzard. So you can see without being seen, so you could do some pretty good shenanigans in with this. I haven't tested that a ton against the AI, but shenanigans are to be had. And then you get extra defense against range attacks, but decrease to attack overall. So everyone's going to do less damage. If, someone like what is it, the Windwalkers? Is that it? The ranged races, right? You basically have melee or ranged races generally in this game. That really is a debuff against them. And it does go along with our new friends here because they've got they're melee focused. The Geomancer, yeah, he can cast range, but he's basically a support guy. So yeah, there we have it. Those are kind of the features we're looking at. And let me just kind of, I guess, wind here with just kind of my general thoughts on it. So, as always, if you like Endless Legend, I don't see why you wouldn't buy this DLC. Just because it adds something else and it keeps an old game that you probably love and hold dear to you close and keeps it alive, right? Gives you something new to play. Overall, I don't think it's at the top of their strongest expansions at all. I was going to say the final two, but no, this is after that. Is it Tempest and then the one that introduced pearls in the winter mechanic and then the ocean mechanic. I think it's Tempest afterwards, isn't it? Those two by far are just like the poster children for like let's release an expansion that just reinvigorates, reinvents portions of the games, completely fleshes out something that you just hated before, right? Winter sucked before, but now there's a reason to it. This doesn't. The Dust Eclipse is cool looking. That's about where it ends. I don't see a lot of benefit from this. I mean, getting the Conflux is cool. Get a little bit of a bonus there to attack. You ignore movement penalties. So, like, if you have one and it happens to appear, and you grab it and you're fighting, that's great. I got a Geomancer, so we can actually see how prevalent they are with the land I've discovered. So we have one here and one there. So they're not super prevalent. Going back to Goody Huts, again, interesting, but nothing to really write home about. So, that really leaves the crux of this expansion being the Kapaku. Kapaku. And they're a good race, I think. They're solid. They're gameplay wise, I think they're solid. There's nothing different to them. I think the whole terraforming thing's interesting and again provides a different way to play. So it again adds longevity to a game you might already have 50 hours, 200 hours, 500 hours in, right? Depending on how much you played this. The thing that I'm most interested in is I think once again Amplitude really thought of like let's keep the story the center of our game, which they do a great job of, with the whole idea of this is a pre-spacefaring, pretty basic technological race. Again, that got transplanted to another planet, right? And they're them making sense of that and their place in this new world and what do they have rights to and what's just to do and not. A very compelling story. And I think that's something that's shared pretty universal across the Endless Legend game is all these races have that internal crisis. What makes us us? The broken lords, do we have the right to harvest other people's souls? The vaulters, we came from somewhere else. Do we belong here? Should we just get out of here? And so much more, right? So that core story quest, if you're hoping that doesn't suck, it doesn't suck. At least from my play so far. Got a decent way through it. Not all the way by any means, but I'm sold on it. So if you're looking for something like the previous two expansions in terms of reinventing the game, it's not there. And if that's what you really want is that gameplay, it's not there. If you're wanting a cool race that looks good, got a good story, I mean, I think their asking price for this is not outrageous, but do keep in mind it is not a continuation of the keep stepping up the game with each expansion. It's definitely a few rungs down. Not their worst by any means for Endless Legend, not by a long shot, but I'd say pretty solid medium. So that's kind of my impressions of this so far. But feel free, drop in the comments here what you think of the expansion if you've been playing it, what thoughts you have. If you think they're going to do anything else, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I don't, again, don't know where they'd go from here. But hey, they went further than we thought. So this is Endless Legend Inferno, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, appreciate you checking us out. Keep checking in for other videos from myself and others. Check out our website. We'll have a full review coming. Well, I guess it'd technically be a re-examination coming. And then as always, if you're not on our Steam page on the forums, you're missing out on some really good discussion from everything from what makes a good 4X game to what are we hyped about with the most upcoming game and everything in between. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.